everybody. Welcome back to the Queens Lair. I am your host, Kellie Miles, and this is part 3 of our series on the COVID effect. And we're going to be discussing how our guests' lives have been changed since the pandemic, how they've had to reset. And resetting is what we're really focusing on right now. And what did God reveal to them from their experiences? And so we're going to bring on these beautiful, amazing ladies that we have today, and then we're going to go ahead and get started in this conversation. Hello, ladies. How is everyone doing today?
Hi.
Hey.
Yes, it's so good. Thank you all so much for jumping on with us to have this conversation about resetting after the pandemic, or quote unquote after the pandemic. So let's get ready to start, and let's introduce yourselves. We'll start with you, DaVita. Just tell us who you are and a little bit about what you do and where you're from
Okay. So, hi, everyone. I am DaVita Garfield-Benson. I'm born and raised in West Philly, live right outside of Philadelphia right now. I am the owner of OnPurpose Marketing Solutions, and we are a full-service marketing agency really designed to help growing businesses scale, automate, and really create some lifestyle freedom in their life by not pushing every button, making every call, answering every email in their business, so that they can, truly live the life that they desire.
Nice. You got some good stuff going there. Make sure y'all know that. So let's go with you, Nicole. Let's talk a little bit about who you are and where you're from.
Yep. Hi, everybody. My name is Nicole Skinner. I am originally from New York, not in the city. I lived in Rockland County, and I currently live outside of Philadelphia. I am the founder of Ray Consults and Love Beyond the Walls, which is a 3-pronged approach to help individuals with business, mental health, and education. So I'm really excited to be here and focus on the mental health aspect of this refresh.
Yes, I love it. So let's go to you, Dr. Tracy. Tell us who you are and where you're from and a little bit about what you do.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Tracy Rockmore, and I am the president and founder of Vessels of Hope. And Vessels of Hope is a nonprofit organization helping individuals with learning differences, particularly dyslexia. We actually go in the communities, share information into communities to families, those more so underserved, not knowing what dyslexia is, what it looks like in their child and also in adults. So we try to bridge that gap with the possible resources, mostly education and building that support network, letting them know that they're not alone.
Yeah, and I think education is important because people need to know what is available out there and understand what's going on and how to handle it. So great stuff. So let's go with you, Jen. Tell us a little bit about what you do, who you are, and where you're from.
Hey, I'm Jennifer. I go by Jen Cares from Philadelphia, West Philadelphia, and I also currently live a little bit outside of Philadelphia. I am the founder of Chosen Counselors, a nonprofit organization that seeks to inspire, motivate, empower, and strengthen individuals and families. And our purpose, or our focus, is to really bring the community to you. So we offer services where we connect you with resources. So if mental health is needed, but sometimes you need to know the service that can help you to balance out the mental health pieces. So we try to bridge those pieces together of the social services and the mental health to help you be the best version of you.
Yeah, and I love that. There's a bridge there between each one of you. You guys each said something that's very specific as it pertains to education, mental health, and just bridging the gap. So I think that's amazing, and I think that you guys were strategically placed on the show today. So in dealing with all of your diverse experiences and even some of your similarities, each of you have a different story, right? So you all went through something different when it came to the pandemic. So let's talk a little bit about what area in your life was most impacted from COVID-19, and tell us a little bit about what that experience was and what that impact was for you. And so I'm going to start with you, Nicole. Let's share your story first, and then after we go to Nicole, we'll do Jen Cares, DaVita, and then Dr. Tracy.
Yep, sure. So for me, I would say the largest impact was just not being around people. I went from being in an office 5 days a week, out and about on Saturdays, in church on Sundays, to being in the house all day, every day with my 2 daughters. And I think, that was the biggest change for me. And that probably had the biggest effect on my mental health. So I know we're going to get into that, but for me, that was the biggest change with the COVID effect.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely agree. I think at first it was like fun to be home. And then after a while, I was like, this is for the birds. I need to see people. I need to get out.
Yeah.
So really finding a way to find a balance to not lose social skills, but to keep those going. Because if you're not around people, when you go around people, it's like, oh, no, you're doing that. You have to relearn those things. So
Yeah.
that was a challenge or a process to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. DaVita?
So I think for me, it's a little different because the biggest impact really came toward the end, right? So after being in the house and being, secluded from people for so long, then having to make the transition to go back into the office. And it was most impactful for me because I was sick. And it was, honestly, I had an appreciation for being able to be at home and still do my job, but still take care of my body. In my past, I was used to going to work sick, right? Going to work when I didn't feel good. And so the biggest impact came like when I had to go back. I had to go back into the office and I wasn't feeling good. So it was just a little different for me.
Yeah, yeah. And that definitely adds a different component of a challenge to the experience. So I think Dr. Tracy, we didn't hear from you yet.
So truthfully, the biggest impact for me is that I lost my oldest brother. My oldest brother passed from COVID. And that, of course, affect my mental health, my family, everything, because after our dad passed, my older brother was kind of trying to be that glue that kept the family together. So now that he's no longer here, it's challenging. It's challenging for our family to reconnect like we used to, because he was one of the pieces of that glue. So I was just looking at pictures of him the other day, and just that hurt and that pain and that loss is still there. So
Yeah, and I think that's a devastation that so many people have had. And, which is why it's so important to have these conversations, because people are still struggling with this. And you mentioned, the mental health aspect. And we, on the part 1 of this series, we talked about mental health and isolation, but it's still relevant even in this topic too, because each person has a different experience with mental health and with the isolation part. And so when you're talking about the mental health aspect of it, a lot of people deal with the fact that you've been in isolation for so long. You get cabin fever, you start to feel withdrawal almost, in a sense, because you're used to being able to go out and socialize. I mean, even people who are introverts are at a point where it's like they need some type of human interaction. So how did you reset from dealing with the mental health? What was your mental health struggle, and how did you reset from that during this this pandemic experience? And let's start with you, Jen Cares.
Got it. Yeah, so the reset was really, so as a therapist, sometimes you can therapize yourself, good and bad thing. So when you realize something's going off tilter, you try to now say, okay, rearrange what needs to be changed to help me to function better. Again, adjusting to something different, of not going out to work all the time, being in a home doing work. It was refreshing, and it allowed me to reset where at 5 o'clock I stopped my day. I also gained time back because I didn't have to, leave out to go to work. I could kind of get up a little closer to the, clock in time. So I learned how to reclaim some of my time back. And it was refreshing, so that when the world opened back up, no, Jennifer, you got to stick to this, because
Yeah.
during pre-COVID, you're so into work and you're so into the day and going. And then when it slowed down, it's like, oh, I could do this when I get off. I could take care of me. I could sleep in a couple extra 5 minutes. So that was my reset of reprioritizing time and embracing the extra time that I did have, and moving forward with that plan so that I didn't lose that time again.
And I think that's great because reprioritizing your time is a great way to look at it in a positive way to say, okay, this is time where we can take to sit down and stop doing so much. This is time where we can start to focus on, some other things that really do matter that may have been neglected, in times before the pandemic. So let's talk with you, Dr. Tracy. What do you think your biggest mental health struggle was, and how did you reset from that?
Pretty much after the death of my brother, I had to reset. Honestly, quiet time with the Lord, trying to regain, now what? He was there as that really integral part of our lives. Like, now what, God? And really seeking God for those answers and finding out that, number one, you can go on. The loss is still there, but we have to move on because we are still called to do what we're called to do. So connecting even more on the phone with my family, probably because I was so busy doing everything, I didn't connect with them like I should have. So I would reach out and call them more. We actually did Zoom calls and things like that to try to reconnect. So just really finding the importance of family. Finding that importance and really centering ourselves and saying, look, we can't be that busy to stop in and check in with one another. We cannot be that busy to make sure everyone is okay.
That is just so big. And what came to my mind is when God said, be still and know that I am God. Because in the midst of all of this stuff, he forced us to sit down and be still in him. And if you weren't in him, then you have to be still and focus on what is in front of you, what your family is, what's important, and realize those things, they are important and they have, like I said before, been neglected. Nicole, tell us about your mental health experience and how you reset.
So my mental health was actually a little bit interesting. It was kind of a double whammy. When we were initially in the midst of the pandemic, when the kids were home, I didn't feel like I had a mental health issue. I felt like my kids had a mental health issue. And so I found myself trying to constantly balance their mental health issues and be creative to help them deal with being away from friends and all of this. We can't go here, we can't go there, we can't spend too much time, not go to the grocery store. I got to go by myself. Like all of the intensity behind them not being able to go out. My job actually decided to keep us from home once the pandemic kind of lightened up. So then I felt like my mental health kicked in when my kids left, and then it was just me. So you talk about already not being with people. At least I had my kids.
Right.
Now I'm still home and my kids are gone all day. And so while I appreciate working from home because you could throw a load of laundry in or whatever, I was like, dang, now I'm really, really disconnected. Yeah, we have Zoom and all these calls, but people don't really turn their cameras on. And it's just not the same as that over the cube banter and all that kind of stuff. So for me, when it came to like resetting, what I found was, you talked about being still. I felt like God took away every excuse I ever had to not spend time with him. So all that not being up in the morning, oh, I can't wake up too early. God, if I want to spend time with you, I gotta be up at 5. I already gotta leave the house at 5:36 to do all the excuses that we make for why we don't have time to do it in the morning or too tired to do. He was like, you're not going nowhere, daughter. you got plenty of time. And so I found myself while I'm here. So I'm fasting more, I'm praying more, because there's not that pressure of, oh, I can't eat that when I'm in the office, or I want to go pray, but I got to go find somewhere. It's just, he was like, you're going to be still for real, for real, for real. So that's been how I've been able to reset. I've just hung out with him. And actually, I think I thrived in the pandemic. I think the pandemic did me more good than it did harm, just because of how still I was able to get. His voice became so much more clear, and then I was able to follow his path way better.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Yeah, be still. I love that. And it's a different aspect to look at it, as you're used to having someone there, at least your kids, and then when they go, that's a whole, now you're faced with just you and God. So that's good. Now let's hear from you, DaVita. What do you think about, what was your mental health experience and how did you reset?
So all that, everything everybody said. I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. That's me. So for me, it was, I mean, just the, just the concept of like that moment to be still. I always feel like, most times like God literally has to sit me all the way down before I'm like, okay, I hear you. And so I'm a 3-time brain tumor survivor. And over the span of 8 years, I've had 3 brain tumors. And so the third one came back in the middle of the pandemic. And so I'm working for my employer, and I'm already, in a place of management and stress, trying to keep my team calm because we're forced to do our job differently than we've, ever done it before. And I'm also dealing with this health challenge, right? And I've seen it before, but it never feels good whenever it comes back. But I always know that like God is going to show me something, like something's going to come out of this. And so being able to be home, I was grateful for, because I did, like I said, I didn't have to go into work sick. But when it came time to go back, the level of anxiety that I had about going back into the job, knowing that I wasn't feeling good, but also feeling like I did feel like I had time to breathe. I had time to take care of me, when I was home. And now it's like, nope, go right back into the world.
Yeah.
Right. And I knew that whatever was going to happen, whatever's going to be the outcome of this tumor, and if I was going to have surgery or whatever, that God was going to show me that my life was going to be different and it was never going to be the same.
Wow. I mean, that's just deep right there. I mean, 3 times, that's a true blessing. That's amazing just to know that God has his hands on you so much that he has healed your body to a point where you can sit there in this chair right now and share your testimony, because there's somebody else that's watching this, right, that's going to watch this, and they're going to be like, wow, this is amazing. I can do this. They might get the news that day and hear this story and see that you're the victory that you walk in. So I praise God for that. It's just so amazing. And I just, we're just going to take a quick 30-second break, because I just want you guys to think about the greatness of God, and that even in the midst of a pandemic, even in the midst of a health crisis, even in the midst of all of the things that we have dealt with, the loss of lives and our loved ones, God is still able to bring you through. Yes. So we're going to take a 30-second break, and then we'll come right back and talk a little bit more to these beautiful queens. Hey, everybody, we are back from break. We just had an amazing conversation on the first half with these amazing queens. You are watching the Queens Lair Christian Talk Show, and I am your host, Kellie Miles. And so we were just talking a little bit about the experience that each one of these queens has had, and they've had diverse experiences, but yet they've still come out victoriously. So if you really want to be victorious in your situation and what you're dealing with, make sure you listen closely, rewind it, and watch it over and over again, and listen to their experiences and how God brought them over and through. So we're going to talk a little bit now, and I want you ladies just to give us some hope. How did you hold on? What, as you're going through these experiences, what did you learn about trusting God in these experiences that helped you to get back on track and not just fall off and give up? So just share that experience with us. And so we ended off with you, DaVita, and you shared your story. So we're going to go back to you and let you start to tell us a little bit about how you made it through and how you got over and what you learned about trusting God.
So for me, it was, I knew that he was going to show me something, and I wasn't sure. And so what initially I was told I wasn't going to be a candidate for a third surgery. And then after a ton of meetings, the doctors got together and decided that they felt confident that they could go in and they could get the tumor. And so I knew I was going to be out on medical leave. I've been building my business, but that thing inside me that just kept saying like, it's not time, like, it's not time to just move out on your own. And if you do, then like, what if it doesn't work? Or what if you can't afford good insurance, right? Because I need good insurance because I'm always going to have health challenges. And I felt like it was because of everything, and it definitely as a result of the pandemic, being home and appreciating just a different lifestyle. I said, God, if I come through this, I'm just gonna move. I'm just gonna move, because I felt like He was showing me that this is going to work and this is the right thing, and also like leaving behind the guilt feelings of like, okay, I'm walking away from this career. I've been in healthcare for 22 years. What does that look like? But realizing that like I just needed to close that chapter because He was opening a whole new door for me. Yes. And so I had brain surgery in February of this year. I had radiation to my brain in May, and June 27th, I resigned.
Wow.
Amen.
Yes, girl. Go ahead.
Life, absolutely looks different.
And I have to tell you, your anointing just looks so good on you. Just walking and let God just guide you and direct you, because that's what He's doing. He wants you to go His way, and that job is not going to allow you the freedom that you need to move as freely as He wants you to.
Right.
So that's amazing. Nicole, let's go to you.
Okay. Listen, I'm going to just tell you right now, I'm going to do my very best to go through this without getting too stirred, because I would say the thing I had to learn the most in terms of trusting God is when we got home, we had to do church in our houses. And if you didn't learn nothing else, but He just kept impressing, we got to learn how to stir ourselves.
Yes.
Okay. One thing we didn't, when you're in the congregation and you with everybody, you get stirred because you see this person and that person and the music and all this kind of stuff. But when you got home in that living room or that bedroom or wherever you was participating in, you had to stir yourself. And so now I get so easily stirred because I started practicing stirring myself. But when it comes to the trusting, what God showed me as we were going through this pandemic is that He was lining each and every one of us up like arrows. And the more we began to trust Him, the more He could pull back, and begin to position us and point us in the direction that He wants us to go in order for us to then be released. When I say I thrived, I didn't thrive because of anything I did. I thrived. I opened up businesses. I bought a new home. I bought a new car. All of these different things in the midst of a pandemic. Why? Because I was so in tune with Him and His word that as He was pulling me back and lining me up like an arrow, when He was ready to release me, it was like, shoom, and I was just like full speed ahead. And I feel like He's not just doing that for me, but He's doing that for so many people. But the key is having faith and trusting that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard, and that it has not entered into the heart of man, all of the things that God has for you. So no matter what your situation is, whether it's COVID or anything else, you just got to put your hope in Him. I'll never not trust Him.
Come on, we go ahead and close out. Yes, I like that, lining you up like an arrow so that He pulls you back. You know what I'm saying? Because once He pulls you back and He knows the power and the strength that's in your arrow, and then He lets it go, the impact that's going to have when you hit the world. Oh my God! Like, you know what I mean? This is just this. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. Go ahead. Who's next? We had Dr. Tracy. What is your reset? How did you get over the reset? I can't even get the question right. You know what I'm saying?
That's fine. No, I'm gonna flow off what Nicole said, because again, that bow and arrow has that elasticity where you stretch it so wide, and that's what He did. He stretched a lot of us during this pandemic. We were stretched in ways that we didn't even know. We didn't know some things were in us or coming out of us if we didn't go through this. I mean, looking at the loss of my dad, my brother and my dad, but out of that, I got engaged and married through the pandemic.
All right. Hallelujah.
We got married last year, got engaged the year before. So it's like, we didn't know these things were going to come out of all of this. We had no idea. And the thing is, okay, Lord, if we didn't go through it, would we still go through the situations? We may not have had the time to really focus in on what God really wanted us to focus in on. if we were running like a lot of us, because I know a lot of us, we were running because we're women that are out there trying to do what God wants us to do in any area. But sometimes we have to slow down so we can really hear his voice, hear it in a way that we've never heard it before. So I agree with you, Nicole. That stretch had to come, because out of that, we would not be able to produce the oil that we now have.
Yes.
Oh, that's good stuff. Y'all fired up. Y'all feel that heat? I do. Ooh, that's good stuff. Come on, Jen. Let's see. Jen Cares. Tell us how you reset and what you learned from your experience with God.
Oh, sorry, feeling that heat indeed. And it's funny because everybody getting stirred all up, and our time is slipping from us. But the amazing part is being stirred up helps us to keep on going, because it encourages us and gives us that boost that we need, right? And like the reset was, encouraging ourselves. As you shared, you were at home now. You couldn't like reach out to somebody at church and say, "Can you pray?" I mean, you could call somebody. Life was still lifing. So like even in, the world shutting down, things still trying to break, things still trying to go haywire, work still going crazy, even being at home. And, in those moments I had to encourage myself, God, you brought me to it, so you're going to bring me through it, and even in the situations that my sisters here have shared. But what I learned too is to tap in when needed, meaning getting what I needed from God when I needed it, because people going to be around or people not going to be around. Church virtually was interesting because you had to also train yourself to sit still.
Yeah.
I had to train myself to sit still because what I was going to do was going to help me to get through the next day. And then when I didn't have that, I could listen to it again or do whatever I did prior to COVID, when I needed that. But I also, that time caused me to really get some time with God, as one of my sisters shared too, of God, let me read my word, let me get in your presence, because things are happening. I don't understand what's going on. I don't know how long we're going to be on this lockdown. COVID even hit, but then it's like, God, I trust you through this. Some people didn't make it, but God, you brought me through, so I thank you. But tapping in when needed, tapping out when needed, being able to trust God through the process, and thinking before we respond, and make sure we seeking God before we respond, and then trusting God through that process really has helped us to stay encouraged. And that's what I heard from my sisters. That's what helped me, and that's what continues to help me. And I hope that it helps somebody that's listening, somebody that's tuning in, and maybe you share with somebody else to help them to keep on holding on as well.
And matter of fact, share this recording right now with them. The whole thing. Yes, this was really amazing, and I wish we had so much more time, because there's so much more that could be shared, with you all. I really, really hope that somebody who's out there listening right now, or who's going to watch this later, is going to be able to take something back from the power that just the seeds that was just planted in you guys. So just thank you so much for just coming on, ladies, and just joining the show. I just really appreciate each and every one of you for the value that you have poured into our viewers today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm just gonna get ready to wrap it up. I just want to say that you guys have to stay tuned. We actually have a part 3A, I guess, because there's going to be some more ladies that are going to come on. We're going to do this. Some more people wanted to share their stories, so make sure you guys stay tuned, because we're going to be watching or having some more guests come on to share their stories. Just make sure you listen. If there's nothing else that you take from this right now, make sure you just remember to be still and allow God to be God in your life. Give him an opportunity and a chance to allow him to be God in your life. Allow him to stretch you, because when he stretches you, he's going to empower you and strengthen you, so that when it's time for you to go out on your assignment and on your course, you're going to make a great and powerful impact for who he has for you to encounter. So make sure you guys just stay tuned for the next episode. You can also check out our YouTube page so that you can look at some of the other episodes that are on our show, and maybe just go back and watch this one on replay again. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.
Thanks for watching the Queens Lair. Stay tuned for the next episode.